Good afternoon, Canada, and welcome to another episode of Wake Up Canada, a place where we try to wake up the woke here in Canada. I want to apologize again for yesterday's video. My software, apparently, I got a notification there, is running slower than usual. What else do you expect from liberal internet here in Canada? We have a little bit of a show, though, for today. We got a review of Question Period, plus we're going to also review a video there of Stephen McKinnon, the Liberal MP, and what he thinks or his ideas are on an upcoming election, which we desperately need. So let's get right to it here, and we're going to try to open up a video. Now, I apologize for the lag if there is. Hopefully, I'll have this issue resolved by tomorrow, but right now we're going to have to just try and wing it. This is like my sixth, seventh time recording this. So let's see if we can get it working here. Hopefully it works this time.
Oral questions. Questions orales. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Each and every dollar that this Prime Minister spends costs us. Each dollar is expensive for Canadians. This government and the Justin Trudeau government doubled inflation. Today, Statistics Canada published new numbers according to which inflation is rising. 4 indicators are higher than projected, and grocery prices are going up twice as fast as the target. Will the Prime Minister in the upcoming budget decrease his taxes and inflationary spending so that Canadians can lead affordable lives? The Honourable Minister of Finance. Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to see that the opposition leader is excited for November 4th. I'm excited too, as are Canadians. Why? Because we will have good news on November 4th, Mr. Speaker. We will present good news to Canadians. We will present an ambitious plan. Last week, I was in Washington, and the Director General of the International Monetary Fund gave Canada and Germany as excellent examples of countries with the ability to make generational investments. And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to build a strong, ambitious Canada in which Canadians are happy and proud. Mr. Speaker, we don't work for bankers in Washington. We're here working for single mothers who can't pay their bills, who can't afford groceries. The inflation rate is exploding, and this means that Canadians have to spend 70% more for the Canada Revenue Agency. Today, the Auditor General revealed that 15% to the CRA are answered at some point. But even if you can get someone on the phone, you get the wrong information 83% of the time. Why do Canadians have to pay so much for such poor service?
That's because half of them don't speak English.
Mr. Speaker, I have even more good news for the opposition leader. He'll be happy to know that on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we have already taken action. We presented a 100-day plan to fix the situation at the Canada Revenue Agency, because on the government side of the House, we know that we have to do better. We know that we have to give Canadians good information. We know we have to be helpful. And we do something else on this side of the House. Mr. Speaker, we respect people who work in public service. We respect public service. And we will always do our best at all times to serve Canadians.
He admits they have to do better. It's not possible for them to do any worse, Mr. Speaker. The reality is today we learned that inflation is again on the march. All 4 measures of inflation are above Bank of Canada's targets. 2 are outside of and above the acceptable range. Food price inflation is rising 2 times the rate that Bank of Canada targets. No wonder we have 2 million people lined up at food banks every single day. This inflation has exploded since this Prime Minister doubled the deficit. Will he reverse his inflationary deficit and taxes in this coming budget?
Drop some W to the chat for
Minister of Finance.
Mr. Speaker, I think we all know in this side of the House and Canadians, math might not be the cup of tea of the Leader of the Opposition. Neither may be economics, Mr. Speaker. But let me quote one of the authority in the world, which is the Director General of the International Monetary Fund, Mr. Speaker. She said just last week, then we have countries in the G7 that are in a better position. Germany and Canada stand up in that regard, Mr. Speaker. Both Germany and Canada recognize that this is a very testing time and they need to use their fiscal space. In the case of Canada, the Canadian authorities have been very decisive in taking action. Mr. Speaker, we're doing it.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Take you, Chihuahua.
Mr. Speaker, his banker friends in Washington may think that they have fiscal space, but the single mothers who can't afford groceries have no space left at all to pay for liberal inflation. This government is forcing them to spend 70% more on the Canadian Revenue Agency. Today, the Auditor General revealed that only 15% of calls get responses on time. And even if someone does pick up the phone, there's an 83% chance they give you the wrong answer. Why does this government force Canadians to pay so much for such terrible service?
Because it's liberal.
The Honourable Minister of Finance.
Speaker, we will take no lessons from these conservatives. Trust me on that, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against dental care, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against the National School Food Program, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against pharmacare, Mr. Speaker. At every step of the way, they fought against the programs that would support Canadians in time of need, Mr. Speaker. No one on this side of this House will tell us what to do. We're going to fight for Canadian. We're going to make Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, I have 5 kids, and I'm an average Canadian, and those programs do nothing
The
for me.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Another day, more costly slogans from that member of Parliament.
Don't forget into the traffic here. We need to get rid of the liberal clown show that we have here in Canada. That's what we need to do.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition from the top.
Another day and more costly slogans. But now Canadians are learning it was a bait and switch. Today, another terrible tragedy. As they laugh, 1,200 workers at the Ingersoll Cami plant learned that they would lose their jobs after that Prime Minister promised he would negotiate a win and that he would keep their jobs here in Canada. They join with 2,000 workers in Brampton, many more in Oshawa. How does the Prime Minister look in the eyes of the very workers that he sold out and betrayed?
This is true. This is true, actually.
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
I'll tell you how the Prime Minister how he will deal with the auto sector. He will look at the auto workers in the eyes and he will say, we will fight for your jobs. And that's exactly what we're doing. Every single day, we're negotiating back in Washington, but also, this is important to say that I met this morning with the Canadian CEO of GM. I was in conversation with the head of the labor union of Unifor, and I also talked to Doug Ford, and I talked to Vic Fideli. And you know what? We're putting in place a response group. We will make sure that we fight for these jobs. We need to make sure that...
Talking. That's all she does. Talking doesn't do anything. Need action.
Just now that she talked to this person, and she talked to that person, and she talked to this other person, and she talked, and she talked, and they talk, and they talk, and nothing gets done, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are tired of talk. They want their job. This government, for this Prime Minister, looked these workers in the eye and said he would negotiate a win, that he would protect auto jobs, that there would be an all-in-Canada supply chain that would keep them working. They even gave $250 million tax dollars to GM for this plant. And now those workers don't know how they're going to pay their bills. How does this government explain the broken promise and betrayal?
She's right. He took the words right in my mouth.
The Honourable Minister of Industry.
Fight for these jobs, and we will hold the companies to account. That's right. That being said, let me talk to you about important jobs. 150 new jobs in St. Benoit, Alstom. 700 new jobs at AstraZeneca.
You know, you're building a third world economy.
L'honorable député.
The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. Mr. Speaker, the University of Quebec in Montreal was wise enough to forbid or block a conference of Imam Farouk, but he will still be in Brossard. That imam, that preacher, he will be able to spread hatred, and he will foment hatred legally in Canada. And why will he be able to do that? Because he legally has the right to do so. Will the government eliminate the religious exemption from the Criminal Code? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we share the Leader of the Bloc Québécois' concerns. Hate speech does not belong in Canada. That's why the Minister of Justice is taking action through Bill C-5. We are especially targeting hatred. During the last legislature, we tabled legislation against hatred. We are going to do everything we can to ensure that hatred cannot exist in Canada. The Honourable Member for Belleuil-Chambly. The Minister of Justice is not really getting at the core of the problem. The real problem is the religious exemption, which is still in effect. Spreading hatred is illegal in Canada unless it's for religious reasons. So, for instance, if a woman is assaulted in a war zone, for example, by Hamas in 2023 in September, that can be exempted as a religious exemption. Are those liberal values, truly? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, I have already said, and I will repeat, that hate speech has no place in Canada. The Minister of Justice has offered to work with the Bloc Québécois on reforms which are before this House. Through Bill C-9, Mr. Speaker, we're ready to work with them to improve the situation and to ensure that there is no hate speech in Canada. The Honourable
Biggest
Member for
criminal there in
Belleuil-Chambly.
Canada, right there, Stephen Guilbeault.
Well, there's an incredibly easy way to solve the problem. And the government would be able to be proud of what it's doing rather than doing something shameful. They can eliminate the religious exemption from their own bill. I encourage them to vote in favor of our amendment to eliminate the religious exemption and to forbid hatred and incitement to violence in our media and on our streets, even though that may be against multiculturalism. The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, Bill C-9 is currently being studied at the Justice Committee. We welcome all committee members to suggest amendments to the bill. We will hear from experts, subject matter experts. We're ready and willing to work with the Bloc Québécois and with all parties in this House to ensure that hate speech is not in Canada.
We all know the Prime Minister doesn't shop for his own groceries, so maybe someone over there should tell him what's going on with food prices. Food inflation has now reached the highest level since 2023. Fruits, vegetables, meat, even Halloween candy. Everything's getting more expensive and rising faster, not slower. The cost of living is soaring because the cost of government is soaring. The Prime Minister is spending more than even Justin Trudeau did, which means higher taxes and higher inflation for everyone who lives in the real world. So does the Prime Minister realize that his out-of-control spending mean real costs for real Canadians?
It's pretty bad that they even make Halloween candy unaffordable. Kids, holiday.
Time and again, we see those Conservatives fight against policies that Canadians not only are benefiting from, but that Canadians are asking that we make permanent. Things like the school food program, Mr. Speaker, which many advocates and indeed families have praised. In fact, in my own riding, I heard just yesterday from a food partner that's working with high schools to make sure that kids get access, not just to fresh food, Mr. Speaker, but the ability to learn how to prepare it themselves. These are the kinds of things that are helping Canadian families, and every step of the way, those guys fight against it.
Exactly. The Honourable Member for Thornhill.
Speaker, it is that Liberal minister who sat here for 10 years while people lined up at food banks. And that's what she has to say. Runaway Liberal deficits doubled grocery prices. And now the same people who caused the crisis think that the solution is just to spend more of other people's money. It's not just Liberal deficits driving up food costs. They voted against removing every hidden food tax that they themselves imposed. Packaging taxes, the industrial carbon tax, another 17 cents a litre because of the fuel standard. It's a religion to them. Food prices are soaring. Fridges are empty. Why don't they scrap the hidden taxes?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs
There
and
is tax on food. It's the industrial carbon tax.
Mr. Speaker, again, we see that member and indeed the entire Conservative Party pretend that there is a tax on food. Canadians are smarter than that. They know when they go to the grocery store that food is not taxed.
Industrial carbon tax is a tax.
We're coming up with real solutions on this side, Mr. Speaker, whether it's for families, whether it's for seniors, whether it's for workers. We're here for Canadians, both in the good times and the bad. And Mr. Speaker, I just add that I hope that this concern is going to translate into support for our budget that will be tabled later on.
Another lie from the Liberal Clown Show.
Greeters at Walmart grocery stores are no longer saying hello, they're apologizing. But it's these Liberals who should be apologizing for their inflationary deficits that have driven up food prices. Inflation data out today confirms food prices have once again skyrocketed, up 4% as everyday groceries become even more unaffordable for families. So we just need the number, Mr. Speaker. How much higher do food prices need to go before the Liberals admit their policies are starving Canadians?
I live in Nova Scotia and prices here are crazy.
Responsible for Canada-US trade.
Mr. Speaker, our colleague referred to apologies. Perhaps he'd like to lean forward a couple of rows and suggest to his boss, the Leader of the Opposition, that he should apologize to the men and women who serve in Canada's RCMP for attacking their integrity and attacking the work that they do to protect all Canadians. He should be ashamed of himself. He pretends to stand up for the police. He attacks them unfairly, and he should apologize to the women and men who serve in the RCMP. That would be a good apology, Mr. Speaker.
It's not unfair. It's actually true. The RCMP protects you guys.
The Honourable Member for Newtecumseh-Gwillimbury.
They're so focused on listening to their own spin, they've tuned out the grumbling sounds of millions of hungry Canadian stomachs.
Yeah, they care about the RCMP and not about us trying to afford food.
People pay at the grocery store. Well, with food prices up another 4%, thanks to his Liberal government's inflationary deficits, Canadians have made up their minds. He's an empty suit making empty promises that have led to too many empty stomachs. How is this acceptable?
We need an election.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Children and Youth.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We recognize on this side of the House that families need supports in meeting affordability questions. This is why we have supports in place and why time and time again we have stood for the National School Food Program, for early learning and childcare.
Your programs don't do nothing for us.
Across the country, dental care, the Canada Child Benefit, and at each and every opportunity the members opposite voted against these supports for families, for children, for Canadians from coast to coast. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountains.
Mr. Speaker, under this Liberal government, everything is costing more, especially food. New food inflation data shows prices in Atlantic Canada are climbing faster than the national average, and in Newfoundland and Labrador, they're under tremendous pressure. Our province already has the highest unemployment rate in the country, yet families are being hit again at the grocery store. Beef up 14%, sugar up 9%, and meat up 6%. Runaway Liberal spending is fueling inflation, and every dollar they waste makes life harder. When will the government stop the reckless spending and start making life affordable for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador?
They're spending more money on food programs that we don't need.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I welcome this opportunity to share with the member across the way from Newfoundland and Labrador that a single mom in her riding who earns $15,000 a year can now access up to $25,000 because she will automatically get the benefits for her and her children. This is good news. This is affordability, and this is not a slogan.
Bravo.
It's a slogan.
The Honourable Member for Long Range Mountains.
Name me three, not just
Mr.
one.
Speaker, while
Name me three
they
people.
brag, more and more people line up at the food banks in Newfoundland and Labrador.
That's right.
They voted against our motion to reduce food costs. It's not good enough. Sneaky, hidden Liberal food taxes, like the clean food regulations, are driving up food costs. And since March, food prices have risen 48% faster in Canada than in the U.S. This year alone, food banks are expecting 4 million visits. When will the Prime Minister end his inflationary spree and finally make life affordable for Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Fisheries and Oceans.
Good question.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to again remind my colleague of the benefit of the school food program. I have spoken with moms who absolutely are grateful their children now have food in their bellies and are not separated from all the other children that can expect the basic right to have food in the mornings. I also want to remind my colleague of the importance of the dental program, the child benefit, and also $10 a day childcare. This is affordability. It is not loose slogans.
No, it's called dependability. Depending on the Liberal government for
The
everything.
Honourable Member for Richmond-Arthabasca. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, inflation is still out of control under this Liberal government. The government is spending more, and Canadians are the ones paying the bill. Today, Stats Canada announced that consumer prices rose 2.4% year over year in September in Canada. What's worse, in Quebec, they rose 3.3%. Furthermore, Quebec was one of the provinces where gas prices increased, rising by 2.7%. Liberal deficits are very expensive for Canadians, but even more so for Quebecers. When will this Prime Minister finally get his deficits under control to ensure that Quebec is no longer the inflation champion of Canada? The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, our friend across the way previously sat at Quebec's National Assembly, where decisions are made differently. We have chosen to support families, to support childcare and daycare services, to support pharmacare, to support seniors, to support young people. And I think he would have made the same choice at the National Assembly of Quebec, though. So why is he rising to criticize us? Is he going to vote against all of our supports? If so, he should admit it. The Honourable Member for Lapointe-de-Lille.
You're a slimy bunch of jackasses.
Mr. Speaker, can you imagine being that disconnected from Quebecers? On Thursday, the federal government announced that it will invest $52 million for Quebec's healthcare system, but not to treat people and patients. No, they're investing $52 million to anglicize our hospitals. Mr. Speaker, what our hospitals really need is money to treat people, not money to make Quebec more English-speaking. English is doing just fine in Quebec, including in hospitals. When will this government stop its crusade to make Quebec more English-speaking? The Honourable Minister of Identity and Canadian Culture. With all due respect to my colleague across the way, Mr. Speaker, he knows full well that our government is the one which has done the most for official languages in Canada through the reform of the Official Languages Act. We have invested $2 billion in official languages, and for the first time, we are going to meet our Francophone immigration outside Quebec targets, and we're even going to triple those over the next 10 years. We're the first government to do so much to take this type of action. We are also helping Francophone communities outside Quebec. What the member claims is totally false. The Honourable Member for Lapointe-de-Lille. English is far from being under threat in Quebec. It is unacceptable to waste $52 million of our money to make our hospitals more English-speaking, instead of spending that money on treating people. Naturally, the Quebec government has criticized the move. I quote the Quebec government, "Once again, the federal government is encroaching on Quebec's areas of jurisdiction. It should instead take the funds and give Quebec an unconditional transfer to let the government, which is responsible for healthcare, decide how to spend the money." Mr. Speaker, why not transfer the money to Quebec so that it can be put to good use? Good use meaning treating Quebecers. The Honourable Government House Leader. Mr. Speaker, I'm shocked, and I think most Quebecers are shocked too, because our government is investing in essential services. We're investing in language minority communities throughout the country. For instance, we've helped the Georges Dumont Hospital in Moncton. We've helped healthcare centers in the prairies. We are investing, of course, in healthcare in Quebec. Quebecers are shocked by what the member is suggesting. Is the member really suggesting that we should deprive Anglophone Quebecers from receiving health care in their first language? Is that what he's suggesting, Mr. Speaker?
For Calgary East.
This Liberal Prime Minister's economic record is even worse than Justin Trudeau's. By doubling the deficit, he's making everything more expensive, especially groceries. Today's devastating inflation numbers confirm Liberal deficits are crushing Canadians. Rent up 5%, groceries up 4%. The 4 core inflation numbers all above the bank's target. This so-called budget experts' math is not mathing. Will these Liberals stop their inflationary deficits that are driving up the cost of living?
No, they won't. They want us all living in tent cities.
For financial institutions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I know the Conservative Party opposite has a hard time, but here's some facts. 21 straight months in the targeted inflation rate from Bank of Canada. Our economy grew jobs in September. We have the lowest debt in the G7, lowest deficit G7, lowest net debt to GDP in the G7. Mr. Speaker, our economy has had challenges, but it is strong, it is growing. Our Prime Minister was elected to build the strongest economy in the G7. That's exactly what he's going to do. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Everything Justin Trudeau does.
For Calgary East.
And yet this Prime Minister has built the fastest shrinking economy in the G7. And did these guys learn anything from Justin Trudeau that the more they spend, the worse it gets for Canadians? 10 years of deficit spending has left Canadians with high inflation, and it's only getting worse. And in typical Liberal fashion, this Prime Minister promised to cap government spending, yet he's going to double the deficit. After 10 years of these Liberal deficits, what don't they understand? The more they spend, the more expensive things get for Canadians.
The Honourable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, again, let's look at facts. Our economy is not shrinking. Our economy grew. It added jobs. Interest rates are down. Inflation is with targeted rates. On November 4th, we're going to table a budget. We're going to spend less. We're going to invest more in capital projects. We're going to invest in nation-building projects, infrastructure, housing. We're going to build the strongest economy in the G7. We're not going to take any lessons from somebody that's never worked in the economy. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Put the hell down.
The Honourable Member for Hamilton East.
Over the past weekend at Halloween events in Stoney Creek, the crippling cost of living was the hot topic at my booth. New inflation.
We're just going to stop there. I've actually gone through it already, and that's pretty well the exciting part of it. Anyways, to go on with what Stephen McKinnon was asked, what his thoughts were about an upcoming election. Again, I apologize here. I don't know what is going on with this lag. But I mean, to recap, the Liberals, they got to go. They have to go. If we want any self-respect and any way of fixing this country, the Liberals have to go.
So I just want to say, because I haven't said this in English yet, that we're 2 weeks from the budget. I think that what I'm seeing in Parliament worries me. We have two opposition parties, principally, that aren't taking this matter very seriously. Canadians are looking for certainty. We had an election 6 months ago. Canadians are looking for predictability, stability, and especially a plan. We intend to present a plan to Canadians to deal with this very critical moment in our history. And what we're seeing is our opposition parties, the Bloc Québécois, who, without having even read the budget, eliminate the possibility that they will support it, and the Conservatives making just ludicrous demands with respect to the budget.
It sounds like you're worried about maybe Canada going to another election. Is that a realistic possibility Canadians should expect?
We have a minority government, but we believe we have a mandate. And when I see opposition parties not ruling out the possibility of voting for the budget, that's starting to worry me, but I think it's them that are misreading the mood of Canadians. If an election is necessary, we would obviously, reluctantly, because we don't think Canadians want an election, but election there will be. It's the opposition parties who have that decision in their hands.
Why not accept the Bloc's demand?
No, it's not the opposition parties. The opposition parties are trying to help Canadians. Liberals don't want an election because then that means they lose their gravy train. And they want to keep the gravy train. They want to keep their money. They're enriching themselves. They're not helping Canadians. And this just needs to stop. This circus sideshow needs to stop. I mean, how broke do you got to be? How many people need to live in tent cities before people start to realize, this Liberal government for the last 10 years has not been working. We don't need another 4 years to realize it's not working. It's not working now. This country's in the shitter. We have no real economy anymore. The auto sector's pulling out. Carney still can't strike a deal with Trump. And the Liberals are still going on with rising food costs due to inflation because they can't stop spending like an ex-wife spending her ex-husband's alimony. So, yeah, I'm down for an election. I don't know how many of you are down for an election, but me, typically, I'm a father of 5 kids that I have. I'm just your average Joe. I don't have a trust fund or anything. I don't have any money that I'm actually making from these Liberal scandals. I'm your average Joe. And I think an election needs to be great because I think the woke people that voted for this crap need to get their head out of their asses, wake the hell up, and realize this government is not worth a damn. And that we just need to vote it out. So yeah, an election I am down for. I would love to know what your opinion is. Drop an opinion in the comments and let me know. Do you think Canada needs an election? And again, don't forget to, I would love to hear what you have to say about that. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe. And we'll see you all here again tomorrow. Bye for now.